Hello everybody, welcome back. We have a new Stasis spotlight today. It is going to be the Hunter Revenant. Last time we looked at the Titan Behemoth, and the time before that we looked at the Warlock Shadebinder. If you haven't checked those out already, go ahead and check them out. I'll put a card at the top and I'll put it at the end of the video in case you want to check out those as well. But let's go ahead and see what the Hunter Revenant is all about. Oh man. The Hunter Revenant just looks so deadly, like honestly. Seems like the most powerful out of all three. Alright, Hunter Revenant, bring the storm. Revenants are a worthy ally in any battle. Summon the storm, use it for cover, lure enemies inside, then unleash devastation. Silence and Squall, channeling stasis shards towards them. Revenants form Karma Blades and use them to unleash 2 lethal pronged attacks. So I think that's what this thing is right here. The little like scythe that the hunter is holding, I think that's what that thing is. Deadly Edge. Upon impact, the first blade shatters and sends out a wave of stasis energy that freezes any enemies in the surrounding area. Stasis Storm. The second blade hits and creates a violent stasis storm that hones in on nearby enemies, slowing, damaging, and eventually freezing them. Okay, so with the 2 pronged attacks, the first one freezes all the enemies, and the second one gives out like a tornado storm that just damages enemies over time. That is wild. Okay, Withering Blade. The Revenant throws razor sharp stasis shurikens into the fray that ricochet off multiple enemies and surfaces, slowing and damaging them in the process. So that we actually saw from the Gamescom trailer, I think. We saw that it was being used in Crucible, and it got bounced off of 2 walls and then hit like 2 or 3 enemies back to back. It was pretty cool. Kind of like just an enhanced throwing knife, but it just tracks everything. Welcome to this edition in our series of Stasis Spotlight articles, where we are examining Stasis via each of the 3 Guardian classes. They showed the Warlock Shadebinder and Titan Behemoth already. We already went over those 2 in separate videos. Go ahead and check them out if you haven't already. Finding the fantasy. One of the most important parts of developing Stasis and its accompanying Guardian subclasses has been in defining each of the fantasies. The team has spent a great deal of time iterating each subclass, starting with the fantasy that instantly summarizes the experience. In some cases that comes with these. For example, the fantasy shorthand of the Shadebinder was established early on in Ice Wizard. You know, they keep saying these subclasses are on ice, but they always use like words to describe ice. Freezing, shattering, Ice Wizard. I don't know what they're going on with that one. Other times the fantasy evolves over the course of many discussions, iterations, and playtests. That was the case of the Revenant subclass, which went through many iterations before we aligned on the ninja archetype. The result is an amazing Stasis experience that we can't wait for Hunter fans to try for themselves. And there's a little cool picture as well. Dude, the Revenant is going to be really fun to play with. I can just already tell. Early on, we knew that Hunter would embody the idea of showing the battle around them with their stasis powers. That starts with the Withering Blade, the Revenant's melee attack, which is the shurikens, the one that like bounces off and such. Land 2 shurikens on the same target and the enemy will be instantly frozen. Okay, that's pretty cool. I wonder if that also applies to like majors and such, yellow bars. When fully charged with ability energy, the Revenant can unleash the deadly super Silence and Squall. Named after a pair of Karma Blades that the hunter summons, this super involves a 2-pronged attack, which each blade have a different function. So the first one freezes, the second one creates that storm with damage over time. There's another really cool picture of it. And that's throwing the first one, so that's throwing the first, I guess that's Silence. And then the second one on the other hand would be Squall, which would be right after. As in the case with the Warlock Shadebinder and the Titan Behemoth, players using the Hunter Revenant will also be able to customize their stasis powers over time using Aspect and Fragments. We went over what Aspect and Fragments are when I did the Warlock Shadebinder video, so if you don't know what they are, they're kind of like perks you can add on to the subclass to give you bonuses. So for the Shadebinder, you could put on a aspect that when you use your rift, enemies around your rift freeze instantly. You know, things like that. And then fragments would be like extra little bonuses Kind of like how the artifact gives you, is that the artifact? I think it's the artifact. Or certain mobs can give you like extra strength, or you get this perk but you get less discipline. That's basically what fragments are. Aspects give you perks to your abilities, little extra bonuses, and then fragments can give you stat bonuses or extra power but a stat decrease. And then here's another one for the aspect. A frozen scream trapped in gemstone, the recognition of a great and terrible truth. You descend upon your enemies with the enormity of the dark. Activate while midair to quickly descend and shatter nearby enemies on impact. Bro, what? Okay. So this totally reminds me of, I think it's Bottom Tree Dawnblade, when you can just hold circle and you just thrust your sword into the ground. That is basically what this is saying. But now hunters can do it. Okay, that's really cool. And it's called Shadow Dive. That's really cool. Let's look at the fragment. Whisper of Hedrons. Gain a bonus to weapon damage after freezing a target with stasis, but you get -10 strength. Okay, so that's kind of like what the fragments are. You get a bonus to, say, like weapon damage, but you get a negative to it. Things that go boom. Apart from the intrinsic stasis abilities that will be part of each subclass, all Guardian classes using stasis will have the choice of a variety of stasis grenades to use in combat. Okay, so we have 3 different grenades. Glacier Grenade. Upon contact with the ground, a wall of stasis crystals instantly bursts from the earth and nearby enemies are frozen inside crystal. These grenades have multiple uses, from encasing enemies to creating cover. When destroyed, the crystals would create AoE burst damage to nearby enemies. Okay, so we saw that in a trailer before where a hunter threw down this grenade and created a big wall, and now it's saying when you destroy the wall, it creates AoE damage. Rip Crucible, my dude. Cold Snap Grenade. Upon impact with the ground or an enemy, this grenade unleashes a wave of stasis energy that races along the ground in the direction of the closest nearby enemy, freezing them and then searching out for the next nearby foe. You can freeze up to 3 enemies with a single Cold Snap Grenade. I think we also saw this in a trailer. I'm not sure who used it though. For all I know, these 3 grenades could be for all 3 classes. You just choose which one you want. So, you know, hunters can use this one, titans can use this one, warlocks can use this one, you know. It'd be great if we can use all of them. It's not class specific. Alright, Duskfield Grenade. This creates powerful stasis fields that suck enemies into them when forming. Once the enemy is caught inside, they will be slowed, and if unable to make it out in time, frozen in place. So it's kind of like a black hole actually. Enemies get sucked in, they have the chance to get out, but if they don't, they become frozen. All 3 of these grenade abilities show the potential of stasis to change the way you fight in Beyond Light. Slowing and freezing enemies have obvious advantage, and we put a lot of effort into thinking about how stasis affects combat in both PvE and PvP situations, including things like how often you can freeze a foe and how long those freeze durations last. The ability to create new geometry with stasis is also a new exciting addition. Yeah, because if you have the Glacier Grenade, the one that creates the big wall, you can get to higher spots, or maybe you can just jump over something that you weren't able to jump over before, you know, in raids or strikes, things like that. You can now create crystal formations that can perform double duties as platforms. Oh yeah, we saw that. So we saw one where the wall went vertical, but we also saw one where it went horizontal. So it's kind of like a stepping stone. If multiple people have the grenade, you can create multiple platforms for you to jump on. Okay, that's really cool. I like that. Players are going to use this new power, be it in the form of grenade or super, to gain easier access to tough to reach areas, creating new lines of sight, or even do things that we can never predict. Oh my god, dude. Imagine in PvP, one guy gets to like the highest point and then they put a fucking Glacier Grenade and then they can just stay up there. Oh my god. And they can like see the entire map, even where people spawn. That's gonna be wild. Wielding Stasis is going to be an unprecedented change to Destiny 2. This is a new take on elemental power, where the path to victory is found through controlling the enemy and the pace of the fight instead of through brute force and damage. With Aspect and Fragments, we're also giving players a new level of control over how they customize their Stasis experience. And that seems to be everything for Revenant this week. So we got to look at the Hunter Revenant, the Titan Behemoth, and the Warlock Shadebinder. And now we have an idea of what they're gonna look like. And honestly, they look really cool. I'm super excited to try all of these. I'm gonna be maining a Warlock for Beyond Light. I've always made a Warlock ever since the D1 beta. You know, Warlock's just always been my main. But it's gonna be pretty cool to try out Revenant and Behemoth, especially in PvP. Because I have one more season where I have to get Legendary to get Unbroken. And the fact that that last season is going to be with the introduction to Stasis is going to be very interesting. It might make for a very interesting video as well. Getting Unbroken with new Stasis powers. Might have to try that out. But that's going to be all. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to check out the Titan Behemoth and the Warlock Shadebinder already if you haven't. As well as if you haven't seen a couple, I think like last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever Gamescom showed their Beyond Light trailer, there was an extended portion that showed actual gameplay from the Behemoth and the Revenant. I don't think there was any Shadebinder gameplay, but go ahead and check that out as well. I'll go ahead and put it up on screen if you want to go check it out. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.